There's a train of thought out there that is Christians should not be on social media in general, or it's something that we should just steer clear from. What do you think about that? And if so, how do you think a Christian ought to navigate the social media world?
The big one.
Mm.
I think social media is, it's a very personal choice, firstly. So I think that it's something that each individual needs to make a decision on. I hadn't been on social media till a recent ministry that I started. And I came to realize that during this period of lockdown is that there's a golden opportunity to share the gospel and to encourage people who are locked down in their homes, not having fellowship, not being able to hear, from other leaders, So I think that social media is just another channel. It's a communication tool. And I think that we need to put boundaries in our lives. So as we know, social media can become a real time waster. I think in general in life, we've got emails buzzing, we've got notifications going off and all our, and it's crazy. And I think Satan would love to be able to distract us through all of that from what's most important. So we need to really take control of that situation. I think that if it's something that's chewing up your time and taking up a lot of your life and your focus, I think turning notifications off is a good idea, setting boundaries as to how long you spend on it. Look at the clock because time can go away from you. But I think also I heard a report, like a psychologist, some research, and it talked about the difference between consuming and connecting. I think that was very interesting. So it said the impact psychologically of social media on women was a lot less when people were using it to connect with others as opposed to consuming. And I think that, like you asked me about the challenges for young women, I think the challenge is that everyone's lives are just plastered on social media. And the truth is the reels are gorgeous, and especially as women, like no one puts an ugly photo of themselves on social media. You put your best foot forward, your stunning shots of your best occasions, even mums, your kids are all perfect with their perfect bows. And that's the kind of stuff that's shown. And without realizing it, when we're consuming a lot of that, consuming what is being posted of other people's lives, we start to compare ourselves, we become discontent, and we start to be something that we're not, or we just overall, it's not very wholesome. So I think be careful if you're just consuming it and then playing in that space, as opposed to you can use it to connect to people and to share the gospel and be an example and be a blessing. I think it can be used in the right way, but to be careful.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right there because I've always called social media an extension of myself, as in you're going to look at my social media, you're going to know who I am.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It's not going to be one person here and then a different person on there. And I think if people start looking at it that way and they realize, hold on, employers are going to look at this when I go in for a job, or, I've got to be a testimony, not only in my personal life, but in my digital life. I think that changes the way we do end up using it. Sorry, did I lose you there for a second? I think
no, all good.
All good. Yeah. I think if we look at it like an extension, it sort of changes the way we look at it in general.
Yeah. Yes, very true.
Yeah. So that's honestly the one thing that I thought about when I was reading your book, was that's probably the biggest change in society today. Social media was just starting up back then. If you had to write another chapter, if you had to write a chapter 9, what would your advice to young ladies, especially on social media, be?
I would say think twice before you post. Think about what you are sharing. I think that you may have a few hundred followers. When you post something, you're not thinking about every single one of those. Often you're just thinking about your immediate circle. It's getting out there. It's going to stay there. Anyone can save it and keep it. So make sure that it is appropriate. Think about what you're posting and think about in the years to come, the repercussions. As you said, your employers or... and overall, as we said, testimony-wise, be no different on social media as how you are in church. And think about how you present yourself in terms of purity and modesty and,
I think that's the word to describe it in general. It's just a presentation. Like you said, there's a lot of thought that goes into every photo that goes up. So it's a presentation of yourself. How do you want to present yourself on there?